Hello, my dear friends. I hope you're all okay. You guys are doing well. I tell you what, Naseem, impressed to say the least. Naseem's mom had a stroke. I remember reading this, didn't we, Naseem, on this? In one of these YouTube questions way back. But Naseem is quite a little healer here. This guy, his mom's in a nursing home. The nursing home is blending and using fresh juices on her and everything. He's saying the nurses and staff can't believe her improvements. Now, this is another case that he's working with. Very impressed, Naseem, very impressed. This is the kind of stuff that's called mucoid plaque. It gets a kissing cousin to amyloid plaque, which is where you find in Alzheimer's. You find all this stuff out in all types of issues that you have. The medical doctors claim are diseases, and it's just the residues of chemistry that have built up in the body when you eat foods that are not self-cleansing. If your food that you're eating is not fresh and ripe and raw, it's not self-cleansing. So grain products are not self-cleansing, and when you devitalize them, removing the outer husks and stuff like even rice, you end up with the gluten part or the glue. And it acts like a glue. You use it in paper mache in art classes, it's obvious. And this is just to give you an idea. And you can see the mold, it looks like to me, on this stool, on this plaque. I don't know if you can see this, if I'm too far back. Take a look at this, though. I got to know, Naseem, did it come out in one piece or not? Take a look at these guys. How long is your GI tract? 22 foot of small bowel, 5 foot of large. Take a look at this. Huge, long piece of plaque. This lady had cervical cancer and has it no more. Another win for you guys out there of helping people to get rid of their serious problems. You guys are the cat's meow. I'm proud of each and every one of you guys. You guys are good. And you keep it simple always, you keep it righteous, you keep it good, and you guys will all be the top healers in the world here. Good job, Naseem. I can't tell you enough. Can't tell you enough. That's how you do it right there. You pull this crap out of people, and tissue then can repair and regenerate. And obviously this person is probably absorbing their nutrition now. Good job, Naseem. That's all I can tell you. Good stuff, my friend. Good stuff. All right. Oh, and I want to thank Dana. Dana, where'd you get this? This is an old, one of Doc's original, well, at least one of the older versions. When is this one? Private practice since 1929. When did this one get, when did this one have a date on it? This is copyrighted 1952. This is Dr. Jensen's first Science and Practice of. And great little book. We all studied this. There was a university that offered a coursework on his books years ago. I did that years ago. And, you know, because you're always learning. There's so much fun stuff with iridology, I tell you. In our level 2 here, we're going to get a little more involved in that than we have been in the past and lay it out for you a little more. But really, iridology is such a simple, nice little science. It's such a nice pocket science because you can pull it out anytime, flash, flash, boom, look what you got going on here. But what's interesting, guys, is how you fix all these different problems. You fix them the same way. Oh, that's got to hurt. That's got to hurt the medical profession. Bad. You fix them the same way. If you need to go into the liver, you need to go into the lungs, you need to go in the brain, you have specific herbs for that. And so you have specific formulas for that, and that's what you add. But you know that the root cause always is going to be chemistry. And either you ingested it in one way or another, it was injected into you one way or another, or in some way you consumed this chemistry, whether you thought it was food, or whether it was in food, or whether it was injected in you by the medical community, or in some way breathed in through the air. No matter how you look at all these type of issues of chemistry, there's only one real walk to Wellville, and that is to clean all this stuff out of the human body, and then help the body, because the body will do it on its own, but help the body rebuild the responding or correlating tissue where the most of this has been. And you generally find this, in all truthfulness, you generally find these highly acidic, inflamed areas in your genetically weakened areas where the lymph is not moving as well as in the healthier tissues. You know, weaknesses are weaknesses. And through these genetic passes, we've weakened our adrenals and kidneys beyond belief. The bowels are in a hell of a shape in 99% of the people, and full of this kind of plaque. And that's major to get out of that person. Naseem, you did good. I tell you, I'm proud of all of you guys. And it's incredible to become a good healer. And you guys are doing good jobs. But like I said before, please, all of us, everybody just work on being the best healer, the best giving the love, giving all of this out. Get yourselves out of the way. Your biggest challenge in leaving this world, not really this world, but if as you awaken, you realize that there's a lot of levels to creation. And if you want to get up into the higher levels of awareness, there's only one way to go there too. And part of that is to become detached of the things of this experience. You know, if you're grossly involved in your experience, you're not going to open up to other levels of it. So it is setting that mind aside and setting those emotions aside and being in that moment, being present. And in that presence, or in that moment, that's pure consciousness. That's when the life force comes through at its greatest. That's when you're the most awake. That's when you can see things you didn't see before. All of these things start unfolding for you. And if you want to get up into those higher levels, then you want to start working with that detachment now and working with the giving of love and healing and compassion. You must get your own. I was just having a conversation with a beautiful woman this morning, fighting herself down some serious stuff. And she just wants to spend some time alone where she can get into herself, but she's got a situation where it's impossible to do. And so I'm saying, you've got to find a place, because you need to spend some time with yourselves to love yourselves to where you don't need your ego. I'm here to tell you, all are beautiful. You don't need to have an ego. You're already beautiful. And you come from the highest source that you possibly could come from. So there's no reason to have an ego. Some people are prettier physically than others. Who cares? It's all the individual looks. It's important. It's fun to people watch. It's fun to plant watch. It's fun to animal watch. That's the beauty of creation, is individuality. Doesn't matter. So appreciate your individuality, because these are just forms you're using. You're formless. So you're just using form to experience form. That's all it is. And when you realize the simplicity of that, you'll free yourself big time. Let's see. Hi, Shannon. In light of the fate org, all the alternative docs I just have to write this, God forbid any harm should fall. Oh, I've never been a fan of anyone before, but I'm just crazy. Oh, thanks. I love you, man. Brinnie? Right. Thanks, sweetie. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You know what's interesting is we got this article here about that. I find this interesting because I guess there was some type of substance they've created overseas, is what I understand, Japan or somewhere, where it's called like vitamin D protein modulated, or in some way activating macrophages. Remember, we had a discussion about macrophages and what they are. They're found in the lymph nodes specifically. You really don't want them in tissues, because then you'll have like a shark feeding frenzy at times. Not necessary, because, and again, we don't have enough research to determine at what level of energetic loss or energy loss that a cell would have before it's dubbed atypical. And you start to see the mutativeness of that. And also, and then at what level, of course, is that atypical cell become dubbed a cancer cell? Interesting word for a damaged cell. So anyway, they developed this GCMAF. And let's see, it's human GCMAF, otherwise known as vitamin D binding protein macrophage activating factor. You know, they still don't get it. And it's all in the treatment of. But these docs that were killed were all using that. Interesting. I don't know what to say. You know, pharmaceutical companies, I'm sure, have had a lot of people eliminated. I mean, you're talking about the insane wealthy that could buy and sell people. Is what they do. I'm sure they buy, sell judges. You know, these guys are rolling dough, and people that care about money, and that's their main focus, will literally do anything for it. And it's funny. It's just paper. It really means nothing except you do can afford a roof over your head and things like that. And I love you, honey. I appreciate you really looking out for us and stuff. Like I said before, I've feared things like this for a long time because, remember, you guys are curing people up of things that's not supposed to be curable. So when you have a modality telling the world that these conditions are incurable, everything basically, and the one that's killing the most people is being done through the allopathic community. Remember, 97% of the people that take chemo don't make it. When you decide to treat your cancer, 97% of those people die. And in a lot of these personal, like chemotherapy groups where there's experimental chemotherapy, in probably most cases, the whole group dies. So this is a big deal. These guys are in deep trouble. You have to understand, man has gotten complacent, kind of going along with everything, but slowly but surely, from all of us, putting the truth up into the face of people, people are starting to look and saying, whoa, wait a minute. And when they get the facts, these guys are in trouble. It's like one of the head of the IRS thing said, if they really find out what we've been doing to them, they'll hang us. And this is true. All I can say is these people have been real bad out there. So when you're curing up things that are incurable, the people that are making millions and billions off of it probably have you taken out. That's why another reason I'm doing this. Because it don't matter what happens to me, guys. You guys, they can't kill us. We're souls. They can't kill us. They can take care of your body, but bad karma, right? Real bad karma. But you got to trust when you're being a vehicle for God and you're opening your love and hand out and you're helping, you're protected. And I'll tell you, I can tell you a lot of stories where it could have been disastrous, but God took care of the situation beforehand. It's just cool stuff. So being a way shower for the universe is so cool. And you guys are doing that in your ways by helping people to get well physically. And that will roll over into their spiritual lives. So you can't ask for any higher level of employment, any higher level of gifts than to take someone that's living in Hellville and turn them around, get it to Wellville, and open up their consciousness to explore the higher things of life. You can't, there's no price tag for that. So I'm real proud of all of you for that. You guys are the cat's meow. I know some of you are still working hard and working yourselves through these things. But let all these things be your excitement. See other people getting up. Let that be your excitement. Because you want to get rid of all things that are suppressing the flow of energy. Get rid of your mind for a while. Put it over to the side. Use it when you need it. Don't follow it. Emotions. You don't care right now about anything. Become whole with yourself. And healing will take place. And in that process, humble yourself to the universe. Because the universe is helping you. You know, from the plants to the God forces, to the spiritual beings out there. So humility is a great thing to have, let me say. Always respect that, I think. Let me see this. Let me see what this is. What a blessing. Oh, thanks, my friend. Can't thank you enough for taking the time to teach us and answer our questions. Thanks. I appreciate you guys that say this because, you know, we always have these controversies and things are up and down, human natures, you know, that sort of thing going on. And I don't like controversy. I don't like that. And life here is nothing but that. That's why I'm saying, you know, just be good healers, open up. Respect and protect the purity of this level, though, because the negative forces will always try to tear things apart. That's their job. When something is out of the negative forces, they don't have to worry about it. I am writing to you about my mom. She is 57 years old and has a long list of health problems. And when you see these long lists of health problems, don't be intimidated by it, because you know that when your lymph system backs up, you can have many, many, many symptoms in many different levels. And they're not all different things. They stem from the same problem. This is why it freaks them out when you guys are curing up things that are incurable. How could that be? Interesting. And when you put the word disease, and it's something that you can't intellectually comprehend, and it's something that we don't know what's causing this and stuff, that's sad. But it's called unconsciousness. And this is an unconscious world, has to be. So it's not anybody's fault. But it's time to wake up. Can't keep killing people and create a karmic circle that keeps this planet always tied down. That's why we have to infuse it a little bit. Just a little bit. I would love for her to have a session with you, but she is on a low income. It will be a stretch for her to afford herbs at all, so I'm also looking for what you can recommend that will be cost effective and still helpful for her. Also, I'm wondering if the 14-week protocol would still be effective if she did it for 2 weeks every month or two. Absolutely, and especially when she went in on top of a raw food diet, and particularly a high fruit diet, which she's got to buy food anyway. As I've said, let me see where we can go with this. We might be able to get you a free counselor meeting. Some of the girls are just, you know, the women out there are the loves, and they have the hearts. So our practitioners donate their time to help people. And I'll say about it. She has had chronic fatigue. All right. So 9 times out of 10, where does chronic fatigue come from? Adrenal glands, right? Now, it can come from thyroid, but in due respect, neurologically is where chronic fatigue comes from, and that's adrenal glands. All right? Fibromyalgia. All right? What does that mean? She's in pain with all her muscles. Well, what could cause pain in the human body all over the place? A whole system down. And the whole system down isn't the blood, or she'd be dead. It's the lymph system. Every single time. And that's what she's got, low back pain. Where are we going with that? Kidney and adrenals. Remember, your lower back is everything lower. So you got your kidneys, adrenals, your uterus, your ovaries, your prostate, your testicles, and you got all that down in the lower back. And you're going to lose whatever vertebrae is related to those areas when you have inflammation in those areas, when you have acidosis in those areas. And she has osteoporosis for over 25 years. Well, what could cause osteoporosis? Well, how does your body fight acidosis? All right? So you're going back to the original cause. Her adrenals and kidneys are down. She's not filtering. Her lymph system's backed up. All these acids in are causing systemic pain everywhere, of course. And then how her body's dealing with that is stealing calcium out of the tissues to try to neutralize the acids. The other thing that's happening, though, is calcifications. She's getting calcifications in the body as well. Just haven't identified them yet, but they're there. And the difficult thing is you get, oh, she's only 57, but the other thing that can happen is, of course, is edema, and what else? What's the third thing? It's on your test. What's the third thing? Cholesterol. So edema, water retention, cholesterol, lipids, and calcium, electrolytes. Those all are burnt in the presence of acids to try to neutralize or to bring some semblance of a base balance. Because base balance means regeneration, healthy tissue, fluid, what do I want to say? Viscosity is excellent. All these things. And it's just proper chemistry. Where do you get proper chemistry? The problem is that when you eat fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables, all grown organically or at least good and picked right, what you have is those ratios pretty much naturally. Now you can see them go up and down, but basically this is you're really nourishing the blood because the chemistry is in proper ratios. When you get into man-made grains and beans and animal products, you got chemistry way out of balance, and therefore you unbalance blood chemistry. Unbalancing blood chemistry is not a smart thing to do, not at all. Because even though the blood can steal and fight and keep itself balanced to some degree, it is a fact that it has to steal something or it has to use a lipid. So in the sense of this, as the years pile on, you're getting obstructed more and more and more, either with lipid plaquing or calcifications, more and more until there is an occlusion of the vascular walls to the point where you have ischemia, which means withdrawing of blood to an area, starting to feel the pain from that, and then of course then an MI in that area, an infarction in that particular area, not just have to be in the heart, it could be anywhere in the body. She is overweight, okay, so where do we tie that back to? Tie that back to the adrenal glands. Again, sugar metabolism. And of course, when that's down, then you are getting fungus in the body from not metabolizing your sugars properly. So now the fungus wants more fermentation to deal with, and so then you crave more fermented foods. You don't crave fruit when you have fungal problems. You crave fermented foods. You crave cheeses, or you do crave potatoes. You can do that, of course. Breads, stuff like that, already fermented foods. You don't crave fruit. And you don't crave vegetables. You crave fermentation, because these are fermentation little beings. And she could have a thyroid. You can check her basal temperatures under her arm. She could have a little low thyroid, absolutely, which is a big concern for her emotionally. Put her on a raw food diet. Raw food diet just cleans you right up. It strips off the weight. It reforms your body. You know, one thing you guys will find is that your body can be reformed. You know, I just talking to a client. She said, well, I didn't lose any weight, but my body is readjusting itself. My hips are smaller. My waist is, you know, that sort of thing. It's like, yeah. I wonder who's doing the forming. If you look at the ladies and how they changed since the 1900s, somebody with an awareness is going, I like a woman a little more of this. Interesting. She has digestive issues. Now, he didn't comment here. Sulfur, I'm guessing, it's possible. It'll be orange in the eye if there's sulfur. As I have it in my eyes. Yeah, probably. Yep. You guys are smart. You guys are getting smart. And a fatty liver as well. Okay, so again, let's go back to acidosis. What is one of the things we just talked about that the body uses to fight acidosis, to neutralize acidosis? Acids, lipids, right? So whenever you see tissue getting fatty, what's the first thing you know? Acidosis. Oh, well, what could cause acidosis in the liver? The lymph system. That's the only thing, the lymph system, because if it's intracellular acidosis, bye-bye. Bye-bye cell. So, no, this is extracellular or outside of the cell, which is inflammation. And you'll see fats building up in that area to try to stop this. And in that sense, you see fatty livers and stuff. But it can be lungs, hearts, kidneys. You can get fatty kidneys, everything like that. And, of course, that's going to affect the gallbladder. But remember, right across the street is the pancreas. And that little boy is going to get backed up, too, because this is systemic. See, this is the thing that's important to understand, is that when this system's down, it's down all through you. It'd be nice if it was just down in the breast or down in the prostate or just down in the ovaries. That'd be nice. That's where they get the idiocy of metastasizing. Nothing, no cells move. They're taken to lymph nodes, but they don't move and influence other cells and make other cells cancer cells. It's impossible to do that. If you understand how the body's built, it's impossible. So that's just one of another autoimmune brain styles that means absolutely nothing. It's just enough to scare you. Oh, your cancer's moving on you. Oh, really? And you didn't help it with the chemo and radiation, right? And it's not moving because there's no such thing as moving. You're just damaging more cells. You're making hot spots. But you can have hot spots pop everywhere. everywhere. So just remember this. She had tonsils removed and has been on antibiotics countless times. This is what we, when you get people like this, and this is one of the problems with the use of antibiotics. You kill the lymph nodes you kill the bacteria in your lymph nodes, you're in trouble. Fibromyalgia, lupus, and Lyme's. Those are the three biggies that you see, and they're all the same stuff. I don't care what they say. And look at this. They treat Lyme's with antibiotics. No, it doesn't work. But they rake those antibiotics down you, knowing it doesn't work. So what happens then is they kill the bacteria in your body, which still doesn't stop the problem because this is acidosis. Doesn't matter the viral count, doesn't matter any of that. This is still acidosis, systemic acidosis. And so when you kill the bacteria, now who's taking these 3 pH acids from your cells and getting them up to 6 so the kidneys are, so you're not on your knees peeing when they're coming out? Nobody. And then antibiotics are just not antibiotics, they're suppressive nature. Remember we told you about the sweetheart that got up walking, MS girl, the chiropractor's wife? You got the film on the YouTube, and she got up out of her chair and walked. Pretty cool. An antibiotic put her right back in the chair. That's disgusting. That's scary. So these boys have to learn a lot more about what they're doing. Get off the narcissism. We don't care. Just makes you look stupid. And really learn the truth. And get into healing people. These are serious. We're at a serious level, this planet. A very serious level. It's been thought that the Homo sapiens will be terminated from this planet. It's unbelievable. She has had a long-standing issue with her foot, which she fractured about 8 years ago. All right. But it was not diagnosed till about 2 years later, so she walked around on it in pain, and it did not heal properly during that time. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is get her take a little break off of that foot. If she's got that fracture still there, get her on the parathyroid and get her on the Bones formula. And those two things will help that. But what else do you have to do to make sure bones and tissue repair properly? You got to make sure the lymphatic system is moving well and cleaning that area of acids, because as long as that area is highly acidic, the healing of a fracture is minimal, because she's going to be leaching calcium instead of putting it back.